Welcome here
to another Sunday morning well, we are really out of sync here this morning. Why don't we start over?
Good morning. Welcome here.
We're still out of sync. Oh, well, yes, to another Sunday morning with Paul
and Angie Wagler.
Well, that was from
arisenow.ca.
Considering how many times we've said that opening line, we still really flubbed it.
I think we're at
yeah, quite a few.
Yes.
And we might not have said that all so well right in the beginning. But anyway, we are in this journey of looking at Matthew 7.
Matthew 7.
And we are so glad that you are here with us. And we want to say, if you missed the first week, this is week number 2. If you missed the first week, you can go back and check that out. But we thank God for you. We pray God's blessing on you and pray that as we spend some time looking into His Word, that it'll be a blessing in your life and in ours as well. And so, Angie, last week we talked Matthew 7, verses 1 to 5, which talks about not judging others with the measure you use. It talked about...
We talked about specks in our eyes and planks.
And planks.
And we should have brought a plank.
Yeah. Well,
because if I want to deal with the speck in your eye and haven't gotten rid of the plank in my own eye, when I turn to deal with that, I'm going to whack you with the plank yet.
Yeah.
That's in my own eye, and we're going to have a problem getting the speck out of yours.
It's not going to be good. So we want to deal with those things, and we want to release our judgments. And at the end of last week, we talked about Matthew. You mentioned Matthew 18. There's a parable there,
right?
That you wanted to highlight.
We were talking about some verses in James that said
about how mercy triumphs over judgment, and if we're not merciful, we're not going to be judged with mercy.
Right.
And I was like, oh my word, that is a harsh reality. I want to be judged with mercy because I know I need mercy.
Right, and so then I said your homework for this past week was to read Matthew 18. Matthew 18 is a parable. It's a story that Jesus told, and he tells it, and it's actually entitled in the Bible, the parable of the unmerciful servant,
right? Which
is what we don't want to be. I'm not going to read the whole thing. If you didn't do your homework, you can do it again this week.
You can just summarize
I'm going to summarize it. Yes, so there was a servant who came to his master, and he owed him a lot of money, but he couldn't pay. And the master forgave him his debt.
Yeah.
He had no sooner been forgiven that debt, like let's say it was millions of dollars.
Right.
He goes out and he grabs another servant and says, "You owe me $10. You owe me $10. Pay up, or I'm going to, put you in prison."
Right.
And that other servant said, "Oh, if you'll be patient with me, I will pay you, but I don't have the money right now." And he wasn't patient with him. He wasn't merciful. Mm-hmm. He went after that man to the full extent of the law. Well, the other servants, they weren't real happy with what had happened. They said, "This isn't quite right." So they said to the master, "You forgave that man that big debt, but he wasn't merciful to his fellow servant for just a small debt that was owed to him." And the master called that servant back in, and it didn't go well for him. He's like, "Why would you have not been merciful? Like I was merciful to you, why would you have not shown that same mercy to someone else?" Mm-hmm. And he says he was put in prison till he could pay the last of that debt.
Yeah. And so he was initially judged with mercy, but then he judged without mercy on someone else. Then with the measure he used, it got measured back to him.
It did.
And it's the same kind of thing that happens to us if we extend mercy or don't extend mercy. The same kind of thing is going to come back on us. And so we want to be known as merciful people who are grace-filled and extending that to others. At least I know I want to be known that way, and I trust you do as well. Right. And Angie, as I was thinking as we finished last week about judgments, I thought that really when I'm walking in judgment, it's really disruptive. Because then I generally feel like I want to share that with other people, and I want them to, it's disruptive, it's disturbing, it's just not good.
Disruptive in your own life,
right?
But also in your relations with others,
right? And I think a big part of that is when we have a strong need to be right. and to prove ourselves as being right. Whereas when we can just let things go, it's like, you know what, I don't have to spend a lot of time trying to prove that I'm right here, and just let it be. It leads to a peace-filled life, right? And because it's letting go of judgments, letting go of unmerciful kind of attitudes and opinions, and it leads to this wonderful freedom that is found in Jesus when we can let that go. And that's why Jesus teaches about this. But then we're going to carry on here with verses 6 and 7. No, it's actually just verse 6. He's going to talk about a few animals. Do you want to read verse 6 of Matthew chapter 7?
Do not give dogs what is sacred. Oh, Miss Lady, I'm sorry about that. She's sitting right here at our feet.
Yeah.
Our dear dog.
Yeah.
Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and then turn and tear you to pieces.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think it...
So in some ways, here he's saying in these verses before, he's saying, do not judge. But here you have to actually make a judgment.
Right. You have to discern the hearts, or like the kind of people that you're relating to.
Right. And what are you going to share with them?
Right. Because pearls speaks of something that's valuable. Yeah. And so I think it's not actually speaking of, taking your pearl necklace off and giving that
throwing that down to
pigs.
The pigs.
It's speaking of things that are in our hearts that are as precious to us as what a strand of pearls would be.
Right. So be careful. It's saying use some discernment as to who you actually share some of that stuff with.
Right. And I think, Angie, we can think back over our lives, and maybe you can think of times in your life where you have, in a moment of time, you chose to share something that was precious to you, that was valuable to you. It could have been a life experience. It could have been something that God spoke to you that is just you hold in your heart really dearly. Could be a whole variety of things, right? Yeah. And we've chosen to share that with others, and they have not treated it well. They've kind of just dismissed it. Maybe they might have even mocked it and laughed at it. It could be any number. Or
turn around and use it against you, actually.
Right.
We've had that happen too, right? Where it's you shared some of your precious things, and all of a sudden in some sort of situation, somebody's using it and hitting you with it.
Yeah, like as a weapon to
weaponize it.
Put you in your place or whatever it might be.
It doesn't feel good. Let's just say it doesn't feel good. It's like these pigs that have trampled what's precious to you, and then they've turned and they've attacked you yet too.
Mm-hmm. So interestingly enough, I was doing a little reading on this verse, and I was reading, and it was on the internet. It was somebody was writing. I can't even tell you who it was because I didn't even look at their name. I just clicked on the article, and they were talking about their experience of trying to be a bit of a hobby farmer with animals, right? And they learned some things about pigs, that pigs are very intelligent. Right. Well,
we have friends who are pig farmers, and I remember one time being there, and they had one pig. They have several farms, right? So they didn't actually live on the farm that had the pigs, but they had one pig there. And I remember her saying to me when we got a tour of the barn, and she's like, "Oh, this pig thinks it's a dog."
Yeah. Well,
so it acted like a dog. Highly intelligent, really enjoyed. Frolicking around.
And so a couple things from this article, they said that those pigs are very intelligent, and they, some people have them as house pets, but they're not overly loyal, not the way a dog would be. So that's one thing to think of in this story, sharing your pearls like something of value to yourself with someone else. We want to share precious things to us with people who have, who treat us well, right? And who have some loyalty. And then the other thing, it was interesting, was she talked about how they were at another farm, and these people didn't know as much as what they did about animals. And these people had goats in the same pen as the pigs. And apparently the goats had babies, and apparently pigs like to eat baby goats. And so
That's pretty precious.
Yeah, so this is a sort of a do not cast your precious things before the pigs, right? And so the baby goats weren't nursing very well from the mother because the mother was nervous about being in the same pen as the pigs. So this people then shared with the owners of this farm that it would be better if you separated them, right? And so I thought that's just kind of an interesting example, right? We want to, like it says in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, a verse I love, Solomon is writing, and he says, above all else, guard your heart, for from it flow all the wellspring, all the issues of life. For it is a wellspring of life, right? And so it's our heart is really key, right? And so we don't want to be so guarded that we never open up to other people, but we want to be careful who we open up to, right? And who we share what is precious to us. Right. But we don't want to be on the other extreme of like, we're never going to open up to anyone because we don't trust anyone, right? And sometimes people come to that place because of past experiences where they've been hurt. And if that is where you're at today, we want to invite you to begin to see the possibility of trusting again and maybe taking some small steps towards that and finding someone in your life who you can share with, and then it can begin to allow there to be a good flow in your heart again, because we're not meant to just keep it all within, right?
No. It's having those safe places, those people in our lives who can speak truth to us, who can walk with us, who can help in the healing process if there's things that have happened, and they can encourage us and they can spur us on, right?
Right.
So I think we all need that, and then into the various degrees that goes, right?
Right.
Like Jesus had the 12 disciples, who we called apostles, who walked with him, and then in that midst of that group, it often talked about the three.
Yeah.
Peter, James, and John, who he'd pull a little closer and he'd say, you're going to come with me here. We're going to raise the dead here, or whatever they were going to do, right?
Yeah.
In the Gethsemane, he's like, you three come closer. There was something pretty special in the relationship with those three.
Right. And so realizing that we have different levels of relationship, right? And so I share pretty openly with a couple other people, obviously with you, but then there's some others, right. But I don't, sitting at the lunchroom table at work, with 6 or 7 other people, I'm not just gonna share the same in the same way there. We want to have discernment as to when to share things that are really precious and of value to us, and that's this whole idea of not casting our pearls before pigs, and because they're gonna, it says they're gonna take and misuse it, and so I think that where that has happened and because that brings hurt into our heart, and we just want to speak that there's hope, that we don't have to carry around that hurt. We can bring that to the Lord and allow His soothing love to come and flow over our innermost beings, our soul, our mind, will, and emotions, and we can be healed. We can be made whole once again, so that we can begin to trust, and then it's learning appropriate boundaries, right? Where we can share and where it's best to not share.
Right. So I want to flip this on the other side, right? So Jesus here is saying, do not give dogs what is sacred, do not throw your pearls to pigs. And so that's the discernment that we need in what to share. Now, if somebody's sharing their heart with us, how are we gonna respond to them, and what are we gonna do with that information?
Right.
So that's the other side of the coin here. Yeah. When we look at that, like, what does wisdom say to us? If we don't, like before, with a measure, just jumping back to the beginning, verse 2, in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, And with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. So when somebody is sharing their heart with me, if someone is sharing things that are very precious, what will I do with that?
Right.
Right? Like,
That's really
I
good.
don't want to be on the other foot and use that, weaponize that stuff towards somebody else either.
Right.
And so I think these are the things that we sort and sift in our own hearts.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a person do we want to be?
Right.
How will we respond to the needs, the hurts, the gems that God is doing in people's hearts?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, so this has to do with our own character.
Because we don't want to act like dogs and pigs. Woof woof. No, we're not going to do any more animal noises.
No. I mean, I think that that's the other side of this
Right.
stuff. When we look at this, we can, so often people will blame others.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't treat me right, whatever. I remember one time I was dealing with the Lord, and there was several situations that came up where I had been really hurt by people. Mm-hmm. And so I was praying, and I was speaking to the Lord, forgiveness to those people, and as I was doing that, I was releasing them to the Lord. As I was doing that, in each situation, the Lord showed me some situation where I had done pretty much the same thing to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's pretty humbling, when we recognize that we do these things too, and we need to change. That repentance is changing the way we think, changing the way we act. Mm-hmm. And so we don't have to be dog and pigs either.
Yeah.
So Jesus was saying, you be careful where you share some of this stuff, because some of these things can happen, but we don't want to be the ones that are doing this either.
Right. And that's really excellent, Angie. I'm so glad that you flipped that around, because I was thinking of it mainly from our perspective, when we have something valuable, to have good discernment, but we also want to treat as valuable, which is really what honor is about. We want to treat others in an honoring way when they have chosen to share something that's precious to us, mm-hmm. right? And I think that what happens when we haven't got the first part of Matthew 7 figured out, the whole judging thing, is that sometimes, I know in my life I've done this, that when people have shared precious things to me, I haven't responded well. Because I've judged them. It's like, oh, well, why did they struggle with that? They shouldn't have, or whatever it could be. And it's like, and then it comes back to this whole thing of that I have this need to prove that I'm right, and I need to tell them. And what came to my mind, Angie, when you're talking about that, I remember listening to a podcast a number of years ago where Rick Warren was being interviewed. And he's the pastor of Saddleback Church in California that has grown to many thousands of people. And he was sharing, a lot of really helpful pastoral insights that he's learned over the years. And this one really stood out to me. And he said he's learned that in relating to people, that the deeper the pain and the deeper the loss they're experiencing, the less words he should speak. Mm. And I was like, wow, that is a great revelation. People are in this vulnerable place. They're dealing with something that is precious and valuable to them, that they're struggling with, whatever the situation might be, and just loving them, right?
You don't always need to have the answer.
Right. Yeah.
You can sit.
Yeah.
And comfort people and grieve with people and know that love people. You don't always have to give an answer. They're not. People aren't always looking for the answer of this, they have to do this or they have to do that or whatever. It's just know the pain that I'm in.
Right. And so I just thought, wow, that is a really good truth. The greater the pain, the greater the loss, the less words I should speak, mm-hmm. when relating with them. Yeah. And so we just want to think about those things as it relates to dogs and pigs, and what is sacred and precious to us and what is sacred and precious to other people, and when they share that with them, or when we share it with them or they share it with us. That's the way I meant to say that. Right. And so that we can be people that are known as kind and loving and not full of judgments, because with the measure we use, it's going to be measured to us. Right?
Yeah. These are the lessons from the farmyard.
Yeah. And no more animal noises coming from this. So we got through another verse.
Yes, we did.
And so those first 6 verses really are kind of a package, at least in the NIV Bible. It has the headings, and so the next heading is ask, seek, and knock, and that starts at verse 7, and I think we're going to get into that next week.
Yes.
And so we invite you to read ahead, read over Matthew 7, and just there's a number of different sections and different subjects that Jesus covers, and we're just going to work our way through that in the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so remember, do not give the dogs what is sacred, do not throw your pearls to pigs. Let's release our judgments and be the ones who can be trusted when people share valuable things with us.
Mm-hmm. So, until we meet again,
stay awake
and stay alert.
Thanks for watching. If you have liked this video, give us a thumbs up. Follow and subscribe at Arise Now, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Paul Wagler's newest books, 5 Healthy Habits of the Heart and Lessons Learned Trilogy Edition, are available at Amazon. Arise Now and Paul and Angie Wagler are part of the E3 Canada family. Consider partnering with us through prayer and financial support to touch more people with the powerful message of God's love, hope, and transforming power. You can find us at arisenow.ca.